Welcome. Happy Monday, everyone. I am James Hongs, the founder of Telehealth Today.net. And as always, we are having our Monday meeting. Today is Monday, August 5th. And as always, we have a special practitioner. Today, I have a life coach named Dawn Witte. Dawn, it is a pleasure to know you. It's a pleasure that you are here with me. Thank you for being here. The stage is yours.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. And I just want to start off by saying every time I do a podcast or any interview, I always ask God, the universe, I always say, you know what, let me say something that's going to touch somebody's heart. Let me say something that somebody needs to hear. And so I started The Secrets of Being many years ago because I went on my own personal development journey. I was a stay at home mom for many, many years. I raised my girls. I loved it. I volunteered as PTA president. I was public works commissioner. I did a lot of volunteer work. And then when my girls were in college, I had to look at myself and say, okay, you focused your life on raising your girls. Now look at what do you want to do? And so I went on this journey of personal discovery. And there are some things that I learned along the way that I wanted to share with people. Some of those aha moments that I've had through my journey. I've gone to Africa. I've spent about 4 months in Africa. I've gone to 6 countries. And love and being of service it makes me so happy. And I think that one of the things I like to stress to people, people talk about finding your purpose and finding your passion and what you're supposed to be doing in this world. And I believe, and maybe somebody might not agree with this, but I believe that we all have the same purpose. Our purpose is to be of service. How we be of service is our own individual journeys. So if you sing, that is part of your purpose. You put that gift out into the world. And you might be good at a ton of different things. So how do you utilize those gifts, those skills, those talents that you've been given in making the world a better place? So I created some courses. It's called The Secrets of Being. And one of the lessons is you were born for greatness. I mean, I think one of the first steps that we need to understand is we all have greatness inside of us. We all have dreams or had dreams. And sometimes we go through life, just doing the stuff that we think we're supposed to do. And we forget that we had big dreams when we were little kids, where before the world told us, oh, that's impossible, or you can't do that, or in order to do that, you have to do X, Y, and Z. So, really, like believing that you were born for something really great that only you can bring to this world. I love being able to teach that to children so that when they get older, they don't have to have an existential crisis and say, what is my purpose? What am I here for? Another one of my lessons talks about taking the first step. And that includes, revisiting those dreams you had when you were little. What were those things that you could spend inordinate amount of time doing and love it? Those are some hints to how you put your service into the world, things that you love, things that light your soul on fire. And I always like to tell people, like, sometimes I've told people some of my dreams and they're like, why would you want to do that? You can't do that. That's crazy. That doesn't sound normal. And you have to remember that that's your dream. No matter who it is, it's not their dream and they don't have to understand it. So I hope that message reaches somebody's heart today, because I used to think my dreams were small and they were stupid. They sounded like a child. But you know what? They're my dreams. So nobody, not my children, my parents, my spouse, my friends, nobody has to understand your dream but you. One of the things that I've learned is notice what you're noticing. What are you paying attention to? What kind of movies are you watching? What kind of music are you listening to? What are you feeding your soul? We think about what we feed our bodies as far as the food, but we don't think about what else are we consuming. Are we watching the news 24/7 and terrified that the world's falling apart? Notice what you're noticing. Notice where your energy is going. Notice where you're putting your attention, because that will determine the quality of your life and your experience of it. Happiness, focus on happiness. I think I can't stress that enough. I mean, James and I were talking about dogs, how much we love dogs before we started recording today. And dogs are the epitome of happiness and just unconditional love. So those things, everybody has those, and they're different for each one of us. That's unique to all of us. So focus on those things that bring you happiness, because when you're happy, you radiate an energy that is you can feel it. You can feel when somebody walks into a room and they're happy and they're caring and compassionate. You can tell their energy radiates outside of them. So focus on your happiness. What brings you happiness? What brings you joy? And do more of those things. Include more and more of those things in your life. Also, well, and this goes right into being the energy you want to attract. If you are complaining all day long, guess what? You're going to attract more problems into your life, more things to complain about. If you can change your focus on gratitude and finding the beauty of the little things in life, that energy radiates from within you and out to the world. In my journeys to Africa, I've learned so many lessons about life and different words and different ways of being. One of the words I heard, I was in Rwanda in 2017, and I saw this word and it was Ubuntu, and it means I am because we are. And I loved it so much. I had it tattooed on my ankle because I just think what a beautiful way of being, understanding that we are all connected. We are connected to the earth. We are connected to the animals. We are connected to each other. When we understand that we are all connected, we move differently and we make different choices. And so understanding that that person is, you may not know it, it might be a stranger, but that person might be going through something. So, smiling at people, giving them a compliment, being kind, that really goes a long way. And when we understand that our experience of life and our journeys is better and happier and healthier and wealthier, and I'm not just talking about monetarily, but I'm talking about in our souls and our spirits, the way we feel and the fulfillment that we get. And this one I still am working on every single day. It's a mindfulness thing, but it's the art of surrender. Surrendering doesn't mean you give up. Surrendering means you let go of you're not attached to an outcome of a situation. I learned this lesson. I was on a plane. I was flying back home. I had been in Africa for a month. I was on a plane from, I think I was Uganda, and I had 11-hour layover in Ghana. And they were doing an event. My friends in Ghana were doing an event and they asked me to speak. And so every single leg of my journey was delayed. And I'm looking at my watch the whole time going, oh my gosh, I'm going to miss it. I'm going to miss it. It started at 1 and everything was delayed. And I just thought, Dawn, you have zero control on what time you get there. You cannot go tell the pilot, look, I've got a speaking engagement. Could you hurry it up? So I just thought, you know what? I can either sit here in my plane seat and be freaked out because I'm going to miss it, or I can listen to some music and just surrender and say, you know what? I'm going to get there when I get there. And that's all I can do. And that was a moment where I literally had no physical way to make anything happen other than just relax. So my experience could have been one of, oh, I'm going to miss it. I'm going to miss it. Or just relax, surrender, let it go. And I ended up getting there, got to speak. It was a wonderful day. It all worked out perfectly. But my experience of that plane ride could have been definitely different had I not just said, surrender. There's nothing you can do about it. Let it go. And, some of the other, this is one of the biggest lessons I learned. I was in Sierra Leone. Again, Africa was one of my greatest teachers, aside from being a mom. I was in Sierra Leone. We had just gotten there. We had to wake up super early because it was a community cleanup day and the streets all closed, all the shops closed. Nobody was supposed to be open because everybody was supposed to be cleaning up the communities. So we were doing a wharf cleanup at a place where the girls that I work with, I had moved them off of that wharf and I moved them into a house. They all had beds, but I wanted to go back to that community and clean it up for the people that still lived there. And so, go there. I'm tired. I'm hungry. I'm thirsty. We couldn't get any food or couldn't get any water because all the shops were closed. And we're doing this cleanup. And this lady, and we gave people a little bit of money and some cookies to thank them for doing this extraordinary effort. And we ran out. And this lady came and she was yelling at us. Now, in my head, as she's yelling at us, I'm like, I don't even live here. I came here to help your community, to do something for you. And I'm sorry, but I thought, you know what? You're in Africa and you are here for love and kindness. So you cannot respond with, look, lady, which again is happening in my head. And had I gone with my just the emotion that I was feeling, having her yell at us, I would have probably said something not very nice. But I knew that I was there for love and kindness. And so that was how I answered her. I let her finish yelling at us. And then I went over, I gave her a hug, and I said, I'm so sorry. We ran out of the cookies and the biscuits, or the biscuits and the money. And then I walked away and I thought, you know what? If I have the power to choose who I want to be in this moment where I am tired and cranky and hungry, and I gave away all the cash that I had with me, then I have the power to do that every time in all situations. So that's really been like one of my most I don't even know the word I want to use, like most powerful lessons I've ever learned about, again, I get to choose how I show up. And, you hear the saying, nobody can make you feel anything. Well, people can make you feel a certain way, but people can't make you respond a certain way. So I always keep that in the back of my head whenever I'm in any kind of conflict or disagreement or anything like that. And I find that I'm in fewer and fewer of those, because when you give people the permission, we are going to disagree on some things. We're not always going to all agree on everything. And when you give people the compassion and the space to say, you know what, you have had different life experiences. I've had different life experiences. We see things in different ways and respect each other for the way we see things. That's the most beautiful way of existing in this world. So those are some of the lessons that I've learned along the way, and I want to share with other people, help them explore again their dreams. Because I think when you are living in a place of fulfillment and you're doing something that you love, again, that energy goes out into the world. Your experience of your life is very different. And then everybody's experience who comes into contact with you is different too. And so, again, the secrets of being is part of the power of choice and the power of, living from a place of always learning about yourself. Personal development for me is a lifelong thing that I've always been fascinated, whether it's through psychology or philosophy or, personal development, spirituality, all of those things I've utilized and I've studied, since I was a teenager. And I've incorporated those into the work that I do to help people, again, be their best self. And one of my closest friends, she always says, you bring the love of a mother to everything you do and to everybody that you meet. And I feel like if we can just love people like a parent loves a child, want what's best for them, celebrate their wins, support them when they're feeling they need a little bit of encouragement. We all need encouragement, right? And no matter how successful you are or how much money you have or accolades or titles, everybody has moments, right? Life that you lose somebody that you love, a relationship doesn't work out, some things will happen. So, show up and support each other, and then be the person that you wish you had in every situation, whether it is at the grocery store, be the customer. If you were that other person on the other side of the cash register, treat them like you would like to be treated. I think that's such a easy, simplistic thing to think, but in order to put it into practice, it takes some work, but that's the way I always like to show up. And the way people show up back with me is beautiful. So I always encourage people to, be the change you wish to see, be the person you wish you had, be in all situations. And again, we're human. Another thing that I think that we need to realize is not to be so hard on ourselves. Our self-talk is probably the harshest talk that we'll ever have heard in our lifetimes, right? Why didn't you do this right? You don't know anything. You don't know enough. Who do you think you are to be able to do this? All of those limiting beliefs and that negative self-talk, I really try to help people rework how they speak to themselves. And I used to do it all the time. And I remember one time I thought, you know what? You would never speak to your daughters this way. Why would you speak to yourself that way? So I really want people to learn how to, reprogram that self-talk and pretend you're talking to somebody you cherish and you love, and see if you would talk to yourself if you would talk to them that way, why would you talk to yourself that way? So a lot of the work I do is around, overcoming the limiting beliefs. And again, as a mom, like I would never speak to my children in a, you're so stupid. Why did you do that? Who do you think you are? So why would you do that to yourself? So again, when it starts to happen, doesn't mean it goes away completely. We all still have that voice in our heads. Sometimes it's a little bit nicer than in others, but sometimes it can be pretty brutal. And so stop yourself when you start doing it and say, is this how I would talk to somebody I really love? And we should put ourselves as that person that we really love too. A lot of times, people say, well, what's important to you? And you name off your spouse, your children, your pets, whatever you name off, and you forget to put yourself on that list. So I like to help people remember to put themselves on that list and, treat themselves more kindly, because again, we're going to have that voice in our head is going to be with us our whole entire lives. So I always want to, remind people of that. And I don't have like a whole lot else prepared, but what last this is probably the most important thing. A few a year ago, it was last year, I heard this word, another African word. I wrote a book about 20 African words that I love, that just one word sums up like so much. But this word is sawabuna. And sawabuna means I see you, I value you, you are important to me. And if we can be that person in the world, see people, value them, make sure they know that they're important, again, that makes the world of difference. And I think it makes the world a much better place. So, again, Ubuntu, I am because we are all connected to everything. So, I don't have to fight about any kind of like climate change or anything. I think we need to all be better stewards of the earth and the animals and the people and humanity. So that's my message to the world. I just want us to all be happy. I want everybody to be happy. I want everybody to be living in their dreams. I want everybody to be doing meaningful work that gives them fulfillment and that is of service to others, no matter what form, shape that takes. So that's pretty much my little my little talk.
That was awesome. Thank you. It did lead me to a few comments and questions, but that was very cool. Thank you for sharing. I like Salvuna, if I said that right.
Next tattoo.
There you go. Okay, so one question I have for you. Somebody's watching this replay and they're saying, wow, Dawn is amazing. I want more joy in my life. I need to book a call with her. If that were to happen, what kind of process do you take a new client on to make them aware of these things, to create and implement the stuff that you're talking about?
What I like to do is to start off finding out where they are in their lives and where do they want to go. There's that gap, right? From the life that you would love living and then the life that you're living. And there's some discontent that you're having where you are right now. I want to find out what that discontent is, see if we can address that, and then start focusing on what are the things that you love? What are the things that bring you happiness? The more you focus on the things that you love, there's a reason you love them, and you don't always have to know why that reason is. Like whether it's a color that you love or a hobby that you love, or if it's the ocean or the mountains, or you love dogs like me. There's a reason that we love the things that we love. So finding out what those things are and seeing how you can bring more of those into your life.
That sounds very practical and good. Yeah, that's good. And it was very well explained too. Yeah, I don't have too much more for you. That was very good. I will say, well, two things. One, I can tell you have a very strong emotional intelligence, and that is a very valuable trait, and I praise you for that. And just one, I'm sorry.
It's been a journey.
Yes, yeah, it usually is. But yeah, no, and just one thing that you said, and sometimes I catch myself doing this too, and we have a lot of synergies. So sometimes I might catch myself having a thought, oh, I'm never going to get what I want, or I'm never going to do that. And then immediately, because I recognize I have that thought, then I teach myself to say, actually, yes, I am. It just is going a different way. Like I'll actually say the words to myself to undo the negative that was there, because it's not self-serving.
Well, and manifesting is real. We are always manifesting things into our life. sometimes they're things that we don't want by speaking those words out into the universe. I mean, the word abracadabra literally means I create as I speak, or yeah, I create as I speak. So when you're saying words, that the universe is listening all the time. So when you're talking about the things that you don't want to happen, or you're not good enough, or it's never going to happen for me, you're literally making that true by saying it and believing it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And that's part of the surrender, right? And part of the surrender also is like we give up the attachment to what it's supposed to look like and exactly how it's supposed to look like and the time that it takes. I give it up to divine providence, right? You know what? Sometime when I first wrote my first book, before I wrote it, right, I thought, you know what? I'm going to write 3 books. I'm going to write B, I'm going to write 2B, and then I'm going to write Believe. Well, I still have not written 2B yet, but I've written 12 books. And so I had my initial dream of writing my 3 books. The universe had bigger plans, right? So that's why I'm not, you don't be attached to exactly how it looks like, and just be open to surrendering and allow it to the process to unfold.
That's good. There was one more thing I thought of. I know that, in more than one religion, a lot of religions, there are people that will say, I surrendered to a religious figure and it brought me peace in life. And I think this is the same sort of concept as long as but it does lead me to one little bit of a tricky question. And that is, well, it's that prayer, right? The serenity to accept the things I cannot change. So how do you know when to surrender, and how do you know when to, engage?
Yeah. I mean, I think if it's something that you can control, right? Like envisioning writing 3 books, I had to write the books, right? So it didn't just magically appear, right? So you have to do the work, you have to take the steps to get to where you want to be. But again, don't get so attached to the actual way it's going to unfold for you.
Right. I got you. I got you. You could get everything you want going a different way than you thought you would go.
Yeah, I mean, we drilled a bore. I've drilled not me myself personally because I don't know how to drill a borehole, but in Ghana, me and some of the groups that I work with, we have drilled 3 boreholes, and one of the boreholes, it was taking forever. We raised the money, it took like over a year and a half to get it actually drilled. And I was so frustrated because I wanted it drilled yesterday, right? But once it was drilled, I'm like, okay, you know what? I could have had a much better experience with this process than being upset that it wasn't happening in my time frame. And again, I think I always say divine time, divine order. That's the surrender part, is like believing it's going to happen the way it's supposed to happen when it's supposed to happen. But again, the action steps, you got to do the work. You can't just say, I want to manifest $1 million and then watch TikTok all day. Not going to work that way.
That's good. That's awesome. Okay, well, I guess we'll wrap it up. Any closing statements? Anything, last words?
Yes. I this is so important to me. I always need to close with this. We all have the ability to make the world a better place and to be the change we wish to see in every single interaction we have, whether it's with our family, our neighbors, the person at the grocery store, the people in traffic. Be the person that you wish you had and add more beauty to the world, more love and more kindness to the world. We all have that ability. It costs nothing. So I think in each interaction, if we add a little bit more kindness, a little bit more love, imagine what the world we could live in if everybody did that with that intention.
That was a great closing. I will leave it at that. So if you felt these words to be in enlightening and something you want to be a part of, please go to telehealthtoday.net, book an appointment with Dawn, and get more joy in your life and give more joy in your life and make the world a better place.
Yeah, and I work with my cute partner Toby.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here. Thank you all for watching at home, for watching on the replay, and we will See you guys next Monday.